Well, tonight in 15 minutes I get to talk to you about transformational communication and changing the world one conversation at a time. So, no small task. And you know, one of the things that I like about using my work as a poet with my work with business people, with leaders, with individuals, is that the whole point of sharing a poem, experiencing a poem, is to transform something. In other words, we are changed after we experience a piece of art or a poem or a piece of music. We are changed by it. We are transformed by it. And the same thing with conversation and communication. We're not the same when the conversation is over. We're not the same when the communication is over. And so I like to talk a little bit about tonight sort of what is transformation, how we are changed, and how we are changed when we are communicating with others. You know, I think that when you think about all the different roles that you play in your life, you are usually shaped and changed by three kinds of things: the people you encounter, the places you go, and the events that you experience. And so we're changed by those things, and that's important because if we're thinking about living a wholehearted, courageous life, which is what I'm in favor of and which is what I work with people to do, what we want to do then is we want to be transformed by those things. And what I would say to you is that we can be, if we are willing to sort of step into the world in our own poet selves. Now, you look like a poet-friendly group, actually. Not all groups are all that poetry-friendly. Certainly, 10 years ago, before I started my business, I was a college professor for almost 20 years and had a career there, and then I made this crazy decision to go out and start a business. And I can tell you that when I was doing my master's degree in fine arts and poetry, we didn't hang out with the MBAs. We didn't go to the same cocktail parties. And I didn't know anyone who said in their boardroom, you know, we should really get a poet here to help us solve these business issues. But one of the things I know is that we are trying to communicate about things that are unsayable. That's what poets do. They try to say the unsayable. Now that sounds kind of confusing, except to think that when we're trying to say the unsayable, what we're really trying to do is say something that's really important to us. If you think about maybe the last time that you needed to have a conversation or to communicate something that you really cared about, could have been with someone that you loved or someone who was important to you, but it also could have been a conversation that you needed to have at work or in your community or with a friend or a neighbor. And so saying the unsayable is about having the courage to notice and to use language that allows you to be fully in your voice. So what poets do is that they notice. They notice things. They notice people. They notice colors. They notice sounds. And the leaders that I work with are learning more and more to be great noticers, if that's even a word. I think I might have made that up. And you know, one of the things that I would suggest to you in thinking about this idea of transformational communication is that if you want to be transformed or you want to transform the communication that you're having with someone else, then increasing your ability to notice can help you step into that and show up in a different way. I'm going to share another poem with you. I'm going to share a couple of just to kind of show you. So I think there are really kind of three things. One is noticing, one is connecting, and one is being moved. And if you think about that, in any communication situation, it does not matter what the context is. You want to notice, then you want to try to connect, and then you want to either be moved or to move others to take action. So I practice noticing all the time. Sometimes, you know, poets are spies and thieves and things like that because we're always listening and paying attention. But it's also about noticing something when you're on your way. And something happened in Occidental Park, which is where my office is, and I noticed. And then I started thinking about that in terms of communication and in terms of the people we work with and live with and share our time with. And so this piece, I'm giving you the context of that so that you can think about it a little bit in terms of noticing. Just on the edge of spring, Lilacs purple not quite open. Mornings crisp after 10 days of rain. Occidental Park is sun-streaked. Ivy-covered bricks near shelters, familiar faces, bags of belongings, coats peeled off in a pile. The square is mostly empty. Just a few of us coming, going, standing by. The giant chessboard quiet. The green cafe tables scattered. Two old guys lean against an empty information booth. He's likely in his early 30s, still full of hesitant hope and techno-suspicion. Just days ago, two men bombed the finish line of the Boston Marathon, and he can't keep himself from singing, "I just want you to know who I am." His voice strains and his face works up to red. Again, "I just want you to know who I am." His hands implore the white guy on his cell phone in a square of sunlight, and the black guy stretched out on the steps, and the muscled woman running under new leaves of maple. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I don't know how this ends. Whether anyone applauds or turns their head or even gets curious. I leave the parking lot on my way somewhere, something I cannot remember. But his voice still ringing, and it's not exactly beautiful. I just want you to know who I am. It struck me as I was noticing when I was walking by that that's all people want, is for you to know who they are. And so when we're entering into conversations that are important to us, what if we really enter into that in a place where we are trying to know who that person is? I think that noticing is becoming a lost art, because we're so overstimulated with technology and busyness, and I like to call it the church of busyness, and so it's hard to notice things when you're in that state because you're moving too fast, and so we miss things, and we can't be transformed by them or help to transform others if we're missing them. I think that when we think about being transformed by people, places, and events, that it allows us to write the stories of our lives. And it allows us to think about what kind of lives that we want to live. I love to tell my business clients, I say, I know sometimes it feels like all these people at work are just, bit players in a drama meant to drive you crazy. But in fact, all of those people in that 90,000 hour commitment you're making with your life, because that's what you'll spend in a normal work life, whatever that is, right? But 90,000 hours. All those people that we are encountering are actually helping us write the narrative of our lives. And so all those challenging conversations and interesting relationships, they're helping us write our story. We are transformed by our own humanity. And one of the things I realized, when I turned 50, which I did do last year, is that we get all of it. We get the wonderful, beautiful experiences, and we get the other stuff too. And it's all part of the whole experience. So this is from the poem Somehow, there's a little snippet on the back. Somehow I knew it would be like this. A few moments stolen before a vermilion sunset. A bottle of Barolo shared with a great friend. Knowing it wasn't the loveless marriage I feared, but not to notice the late afternoon light, the curve of the waitress' face, my own face, softened by weeks in Tuscany, surrendering what's to come. There would be parking tickets, bills to pay, an inbox with 14,000 meaningless spam, laundry, taxes, pigeons roosting on the roof. There would be dahlias surprisingly blooming in the back garden, and some plant that looks like an artichoke but isn't. There would be love, and then there wouldn't. There would be the absurd chorus of power tools on a sunny Saturday, and then delicate birdsong. All of it is mine, is yours. Which is why I rise early in the pre-dawn, before anyone or anything can tell me otherwise. And I send this wish out over the rooftops, the mountains in the distance, pink with hope and honor. Let me be able for this. Let me say yes or say no, but let me say it now. Whatever comes in, dark or light, I give myself up to the joy of every tiny thing.
Bravo.
Thank you.